alongside the Junkrat, and well, there was just no response coming through from the other side, even when they managed to get a quad tank off and run round onto the point.
They were so good at dealing with it, and they had only got on the Widowmaker as well. That was standing up there nicely in that compact area, high ground, tucking themselves behind Orissa's shield. I don't think that's necessarily what's going to come out on the defense of that to Disband, but let's see what they do decide to roll with, because you got yourself Track, going to be on the Junkrat as he was in Nepal, and for a lot of Hollywood as well. Mal's just sticking with the Tracer, tried and tested for him.
Yeah, with what they're rolling with so far, it's a little bit bizarre. It's almost like it's a hybrid dive comp again, so you're switching out the standard Lucio plus Genji, you're going towards in something like, you go for the Soldier, you go for the Widow, you go for the Pharah, and you stick it with the Mercy, either for the damage boot or to put the damage buff. Boof, I don't know what the hell a boof is, either for the damage buff or the res potential. So they're kind of going towards it, but I'm concerned about how well they can protect this Junkrat if the Hurricane just roll on through.
They're not going for the triple tank this time, Des. They're going for the quad tank. We saw a lot this last week against Giganti, and they're just going to keep themselves in movement. They did scatter them a little bit there with a concussion mine, and Fusion got separated from the pack, but they've regrouped in the anti-grav area. They're going to rotate close to the point.
Anti-grav area, also known as the outside of the safe zone. Still breathing though as they walk back into the point.
Funny that.
I know, fancy that. And no contest really coming through just yet. Holding the high ground from that's a Disband. Again, my concern is they don't have anything to stand up against British Hurricane's quad tank.
Well, Riptire, that might be something to stand up against if they didn't get the kill. Onto Craggy, so no protective barrier for him. And Happy Cool with the D-Mech. What a chaos has been going on. Kids have been picking up kills regardless with the Roadhog. They still have a man advantage to capitalize on.
It's a bit of a big congratulations, you played yourself kind of moment. Sure, you're bringing someone down with that Riptire, but meanwhile, the rest of the fight is going on and they are cleaning house here. Hurricane storming the way through, and you've got to give so much of this to Kib. He easily got 3, 4, 5 kills after the res came through in that fight.
4 members on the point. They've only got about 20% in the creasing to go on point A, so there's surely going to be a 1 point guaranteed. 7 minutes to play with going on to point B.
Imagine how that must have felt, though, being Track in that situation, going, guys, I got one, we can win. Guys, radio silence, everyone else is dead.
Tumbleweed, just...
Exactly, that's exactly how it must have felt for them, because while the one fight was happening and Craggy was maybe pushed a bit too far, the rest of his team were winning the fight. So Hurricane showing this togetherness that we've seen from them before. This isn't the first time we've seen them run quad tank.
They love using the environment on British Hurricane, playing around this confined area to find the back door into the point. They've just done it again. Happy Cool taking out Limit, and the Coalescence is pressuring that to Disband away from the point, giving British Hurricane a lot of free charge here. 36% before it was finally contested. Transcendence coming onto the point. There's a Pulse Bomb onto Fusions, will take him out. Track getting a D-Mech on Happy Cool. The sound barriers come out for British Hurricane, but they're still managing to whittle through it. Kib, he's alive at the moment. He's got the whole hog available. I don't think he wants to commit it. He's sitting on a hook. Who's he going to throw it at? Catches Barbecue as he descends. Nice bit of tracking onto that one. But now they're going to fall back. I don't believe British Hurricane gained enough of a foothold to keep this going.
Quad tank goes where quad tank pleases, but definitely isn't determined to stay there, as it seems the other team always has an answer to try and remove it. We've seen that tri-flank coming through in the last series, which was a great answer to it. In this one, going back to basics, going back to old school, you could say, relying on that explosive power of the Junkrat, and it works for now. However, what did we say about quad tank? You're always looking for that ult stack. That is your win condition. They've got 5 ultimates online.
Well,
and Track's gone.
Already gone. Here's the thing. Kib needs to stay around it. Yes, perfect. Using the whole hold to dislodge Mercy and stop the resurrection. Exactly what he needs to do. Here comes the Earth Shatter. No one was found. The Transcendence is going to keep the rest of that Disband alive, as also the Valkyrie's being popped, so double support ultimate. You've got the self-destruct blocking the spawn gate. Finds Tri-Spear. He's got his Transcendence out. No more healing for him. Fusion's going to be whittled down. Graviton Surge before Barbecue in. He was so distracted he couldn't eat it. And now they're just being whittled apart. Insomniac brings Tri-Spear back, and the percentage starts rolling again. 2/3 of the pie. They just need the final slice, and that's a Disband. They want to play spoiler, and they're going to keep coming after them. Craggy taking out Crap. Here's Fusions. He's going to try and keep them off, playing very aggressively, keep the mask off the point, make sure they can't get on it. 1 more point to just go, and 4 minutes 30 left for British Hurricane.
It's one of those times where you start getting a couple of kills coming through and the stagger gets well and truly underway. It doesn't matter that there's a very, very short spawn walk for the defending side. They're in that position where they're happy to kill any takers who try and come anywhere near them. So Hurricane held at bay ever so slightly in that second point, find themselves with 4 minutes 33 left in the time bank. Now we've got to see how they manage to hold out on defense. I'm expecting to see what we've seen from them pretty much consistently going towards something along the lines of that triple tank with the Junkrat.
Triple tank Junkrat seems like the go-to strategy for British Hurricane. That's Disband. they're going to have to find something creative. I imagine, or despite them playing better with tank compositions because they can protect their backline a little bit more, I have a feeling these guys are going to run for maybe something a little bit more adventurous with the flank, or potentially go back to track on that far row. If they're expecting a tanky composition, if they're expecting a Junkrat, it's not out of the realm of possibility for track to fall back on that.
Absolutely not, and I'd love to see them run with something like the Sombra they're currently sitting on here as well. We spoke a lot about teams today, and it does seem over the number of weeks. First, we started seeing maybe one Sombra in week 1. Week 2, we saw 3 appearances. Week 4, we start seeing more teams start playing her in this kind of composition, and it's culminated in this week where we're actually seeing teams using her in this composition where you get that big flank off and you can upset these tank-heavy compositions. On the other side, the British Hurricane not actually opting to go for that. They're basically mirroring exactly what we saw come out of Disband last time round, going for the Ana as the substitute coming in instead. Don't imagine it stays because they're currently set on triple support, and that would be a terrible idea.
Craggy, of course, going to pick up the Tracer. We saw that one coming. It was either going to be the Tracer or the Zarya, but they're opting to go for Tracer. Obviously, have that flank, but also have Kib solidly placed on that Junkrat to kind of protect the back line, but Bocket to be on the Ana, that's a standout for me.
I think Craggy was trying to copy Cruz and just give it a go, playing support, see if you could get into the mood of playing it and maybe do that big switch. Is that the key to NA Contenders?
Is it the key to get to NA in general? They don't want Contenders. These guys want OWL. That's what they're here to show.
And they want that #1 spot in Contenders.
That's going to help them massively. So let's see how that's a Disband come into this defense being put out by British Hurricane. Already, Track not being allowed to hack even the health pack because the damage is coming out. Look at this. He can't do anything.
Let me hack it, God's sake.
Yeah, Craggy just being a nuisance finally can get that FOB set up. Forward operating base for Sombra to operate out of. But British Hurricane, they're not being forced to move just yet, but with someone on the point, something has to give. And they're going to send Craggy, but he's been taken out by Mouse. It's going to need more of a reaction from them, otherwise they're just going to give out. Their plan, however, is to go onto the back line, clear out that Disband, and then come back to help defend the point. It's not worked out for them, though. That's Disband. They've got all the kills, and they've still got 2 guys on the point. Where's the contestation coming out? Who's going to be the last person to try and stagger it? You can't send Crusade by himself, guys. They have even more time to play with pushing onto point B.
Hurricane's intent there wasn't terrible. They were looking to go for this kind of high ground hold and from there control the whole of the first point. They could dive if they wanted to, they could fall back to the point if they wanted to. They were oddly enough relying on their flankers to come back and cover the point when it mattered and leave their supports on the high ground to be able to cover the tanks as they dove in and distracted the backline of the attacking side. Fortunately, didn't quite click for them. They got the kills, like you say, that's a Disband. Now they have 6.5 minutes. They did have 7 to be able to push onto this second point.
There's a Riptire somewhere. Where's it going? It's coming out from Kib. Where is it going? It's forced. That's a Disband back. You can just kind of play the Jaws theme in your head till it gets taken out of the sky.
That'd be some fantastic ultimate music if that was playing.
Well, just the panic.
Imagine you got close to you, got louder and louder as well.
Oh.
That would be a fierce striking ultimate. Never mind the 600 damage that it deals.
Not just that, just the heartbeat. Boom, boom. Just makes you really
terrified. Your own
terrified.
mortality you become very conscious of.
Absolutely, but here comes That's a Disband. They know the Riptire's not available. They're going to try and force through Pulse Bomb into the middle of a crowd. It's Mouse picking up Fusions, shutting down a tank option for British Hurricane. There's a Nano Boost being put onto Craggy, I believe. Gonna have to check that in a second, but he's dancing around at the moment. It's Kib getting 2 kills. The D-Mech dashes up to the high ground, trying to contest Track, but he hasn't got a deflect to fight him anymore. Needs some healing from somewhere. Transcendence on the point from the side of That's a Disband as Track still fighting with Fusions, who relieved a lot of the pressure, and he's not leaving him alone. He's still dancing around him. Lit, taking out Bok. His Fusions with the Primal Rage. Limit, Track, he's got those 2 kills already. I guess you can't engrave him onto a gun. He's going to have to engrave him onto his fist. It's a little bit brutal, but still, that's the method of killing.
Yeah, Limit kind of hard staggered himself there by being so deep when the rest of the team was either dead or had long ran away. So, bit of a delay they'll have to wait for. Does have the ultimate online though, and you can see that's a Disbander going for the tried and tested. Let's stack all of our ultimates up and hope for the best on the second point.
Track's so close to it, he's got the Nano, he's going to have Tactical Visor available right now, but does he want to blow it straight away? Is his finger on the Q bar? I sincerely hope not. Find some kind of advantage. Take out some of the shutdown options. Tactical dives right at him, Kib, deflecting for his life, but his Limit getting a kill. Just going to fire the Helix Rocket down, takes Kib out. Transcendence coming out from Crusade. Gonna try and keep everyone alive. Self-destruct on the point, forcing everyone back. Now here's the Tac Visor as everyone's in a panic to get to the point. Capitalize on the urgency. Self-destruct from behind. Doesn't get him. He's got Fusion jumping in his face. Retreating. Most of that Tac Visor was spent taking cover. Craggy finds 2 kills. Kib with a Dragon Blade. Half-cool. Taking out the tanks as Crusade finishes up Barbecue.
Trap the last man running as far away as he can, so Craggy can't chase him down, but he's certainly going to try. almost trades the kill back. That really was the big opportunity for that to Disband because they burnt 4 ultimates trying to make that push work. But Hurricane, they prepared, had ults of their own, didn't even need to burn the nano boost.
You have to risk it for the biscuit sometimes, Des, and goes for those aggressive plays. You can create an even greater stagger and buy yourself more time to contend with that to Disband, who are coming back onto the point. They've only got 1/3 of the circle so far. They need to contend and finish the whole pie if they want to force out an encore of Horizon.
Contending is what everyone's trying to do today, or surviving to contend. Speaking of surviving, Insomniac will not be long for this world.
Happy cool fusions, Craggy all getting kills as Craggy shut down an important resurrection coming out from Insomniac to keep the dream alive. And Kib with a D-Mech, BBQ's left running exposed.
I do like how decisive Hurricane are being. They're saying if we're going to kill 1, we're going to kill 4. And every single time they push deep, they farm the ults, and they make sure that when the next fight rolls round, they're either close to those ults or have them available. Transcendence is not too far away for Crusade. A couple more hits, and he will be there as he's just about to hit it. The only thing they're really missing right now is Kib's Blade, and that could be a beautiful Nano Blade combo, but maybe here Bucket's looking towards Fusions to go for that big scary monkey that we've all used to see.
Yeah, he's going in with the Nano boosted animal. He's going to sit there and pop his ult when things get a little bit hairy. Track already taken out because of that. Craggy trying to find Insomniac, but he's caught inside the Transcendence, so he's going to be healed up. Forcing out a retreat, still holding on to ultimates. Only Bucket's Nano boost used so far, as that's a Disband, trying to accrue some kind of ultimate charge.
It's a tough one. They're trying to get themselves back to that state they were in before. And let's not forget, they had 7 minutes at the start of this push. They're down to 2 minutes 40. They've almost got nothing left to play with.
Here's the Dragon Blade from Kib, diving onto the back line. Insomniac take it out immediately. Fusions, he's got an ultimate of his own, so he doesn't want to be outshunned by Kib as he takes down Tri-Spear. Nice reflection onto Track. Surely will shut him down as BBQ chasing him out, but they've already got exactly what they came for.
Yeah, Limit and his co-tank, you could say, trying to dive as deep as they could there with BBQ. Trying to secure a couple of kills as they retreat, but it didn't work out. This is a big res, though.
That was the change there. BBQ actually defended Insomniac this time with the defense matrix and shut down any hope of, well, denying the resurrection for that to Disband.
Look how blue this blue side of the map is. I don't mean the background colors. I mean those ultimate circles that are flashing with electric and are ready to go. Insomniac burning his already. Let's see how they manage to make this play work.
Well, how are they going to throw out their ultimates? You've already seen a pulse bomb from Craggy as he dances around the point. There's a self-destruct to separate the fight, all hiding behind a pillar. Track with the high ground, he's got a tactical visor, he's got a lot of attention in his face, but finally he loses track of time. And guess what? Happy Cool blows him up with a self-destruct. Insomniac gets the resurrection, but they're diving onto the back line. Kib immediately taking out both Insomniac and Track.
Once again with the full team wipe almost coming through at the very least for Hurricane. Big difference there was Track actually waited for the Diva mech to be destroyed. There was no defense matrix to block that coming through, which meant, at least in his mind, he was free. Forgot about one crucial detail, and his name is Crusade. On the other side, out came the Trans. There is no way in hell you are ever going to deal enough damage. And guess what, Tridd? They've opened up their suitcase. They have mashed that panic button.
We call it the panic button because it's what teams seem to resort to when things start going a little bit against the plan. Quad tank coming in, there's a Dragon Blade from Kib, he's got himself a nano boost as well, immediately cuts through limits, so that's shut down with just one pick, but he wants more. Track getting a hold of Fusions, maybe going to give it back the control to that to Disband, but Kib going to have to change off this Genji. It's not going to work out for him.
Despite that coming through, they still didn't really lose the fight, but definitely didn't push them back successfully. Happy is changing over. They've gone for the immediate response. Again, Hurricane special, triple DPS.
Triple DPS with Happy on that Sombra, 90% nearly built up that EMP, so that's going to be ready to go on the next engagement. And with 30 seconds left, that's a Disband. Don't have many of those left.
This is what I like from teams, is when they adapt, even in the dying moments where maybe thinking, hey, what we've got now is working, why change? You immediately adapt to what the other team is doing, and they said, right, we've seen this coming through, this quad tank is coming our way, let's take some hypermobile DPS and shut them down before it can get rolling.
One push to the side, 10 seconds left. British Hurricane immediately with the EMP. The retreat comes out. Craggy's already in there with a pulse bomb fusions. Craggy, Bucket, they're all getting a wipe. That is one of their cleanest team kills you can expect to see. British Hurricane showing you how it's done.
Team kill the announcer screens, but the Hurricane win is probably the most important one to highlight here as they storm their way through. Pretty decisive 3-0 so far, you got to say. The way they're playing this out, very, very smart, and I really liked their counter pushes. Every single time that's a Disband pushed in, they were there and going, you know what? We don't want one of you to shut you down and stagger you. We want to push in onto 4 of you, bring you all down, get ourselves some ults, and really force you back.
What I liked even more than that was the fact that they had the option to not do it, and we saw them like show restraint when it genuinely wasn't to their benefit to go and push that aggressive. And I think that's the difference makers, because we typically see one team and go, I'm going to take everything from you. And then we should play it safe. These guys can do it both, and they decide how and when they want to do it, which is really to their credit.
Based entirely on the composition as well. And here we are at 3-0. Last map's either going to be going into Dorado or Junkertown. We know the latter is definitely a British Hurricane special, but either way, I think they'll be pretty happy going into whatever they need to here.
If you're looking at map results, we can talk about it on paper. Everyone knows that, in theory, this should be a British Hurricane 4-0 based off of map scores, but this is where the surprise element comes in. Already, both teams so far showed up in the 4th map, and I'm hoping the same comes for that to Disband. If you want to see how that happens, you're going to have to stick around while we go to a quick break. Welcome back to Overwatch Contenders Europe. We're here to bring you the final map of the series and also the day. British Hurricane going up against That's Disband, who currently lead it 3-0.
And quite convincingly 3-0, because I think we've said a few times over the last few weeks, the scoreline doesn't reflect this series. It's been really close, even though it was, some of the maps go to like 5-4 like last week, but it was still a 4-0 to Hurricane against Giganti. This one is definitely looking a lot more convincing for Hurricane, you'd say. One of the more convincing series we've seen over the last few weeks.
Unfortunately for that to Disband, this is going to be, potentially it's going to be a fool me 5 times shame on me scenario, because for Dorado, when That's Disband have picked it, they've had it 4 times in the season. They've yet to win Dorado. So the 5th attempt, if they've picked this, which they would have done because they were losing in the 3rd map, kind of want to have a redemption. Let's do 5th time the charm for these guys.
We always hark back to Track and his Widowmaker.
Yep.
It's one of the big things that you pick on this map. We see it every single team, apart from a couple, I think, when we've seen Dorado picked, will run that Widow, especially on the 2nd point. First, you see it sometimes on the 1st point because it denies some of those vision lines. That makes it a bit harder for the aggressing side to get in, and you are stupidly safe at the very back. There's no diving you, because if you commit that deep to try and get onto the Widow, well, you can have some tanks kind of scragging at your heels, doing damage to you as you're trying to get towards her. A couple of headshots, and she's in dreamland, essentially.
That's very all well and good for Track. And he has had some standout performances for Track. This is where the but, the however, the on the other hand comes in. British Hurricane, they're currently unbeaten on Dorado.
How many times have they played Dorado?
Twice.
Okay, fair enough.
It's half as many times, but with 100% more wins.
Yeah, and also the problem in that all that talking about Track is, of course, it's not a one-man game. There are 6 players to a team. So you need some of your other guys to step up a little bit. We saw some flashes of brilliance from Miles, especially earlier on Hollywood. Nothing that's been too substantial or, what's the word I'm looking for here, permanent, you might say.
Okay.
Attackers incoming.
I could think of another real phrase to use here, but it'd be quite unfair. So I won't go down.
Let's not go down that road.
I won't go that train of thought too heavily.
Okay.
However, one thing that we can say, and it kind of harks back to the phase I was going to say, form is temporary, class is permanent, and Hurricane are showing tons of it right now. I'll be honest, I wanted to use that towards Track, and I was like, sorry, not towards Track, towards Mouse, but it felt a bit unkind. Whereas for Hurricane, it's very, very applicable. You do see these guys week in, week out, showing up, delivering what we always expect from them. Apart from arguably the one loss they had, that surprised a lot of us when that came through.
Angry Titans, though, shouldn't be a surprise anymore for them.
Oh, hell
now
no.
they've got themselves that nice scoreline. That's Disband on offense first. They've got Track on the Widowmaker, and it's Kib and Craggy. They're picking up DPS, so no shenanigans from Happy Cool with the triple DPS this time, as Craggy
I love this.
being
First
displaced
thing they do
already.
is commit 4 people to say, Craggy, no.
Get
no
off
more
that
of
high
this.
ground.
Exactly, and they try and stop him fast. Now, we speak about this quite a bit. Some teams will try and go for a full hold at this very first point, because you know that if you lose this point, the only thing you're really giving away is ultimate charge. By the time you've respawned and got back into the fight, you're ready to defend at the point where most teams do, just underneath the archway.
Hang on a sec, why are they ignoring Kib when he's like got their back to the spawn room? They can see them.
They aren't,
there
mate.
you go. Finally they are. You see Tri-Spear respawn, come up with the kill instead. That's the initiative that's Disband needs to pull through and start getting some progress on this payload.
The biggest worry that you have as Hurricane is if you start getting staggered, then Disband just keep on rolling over you. They can push quite far in. Now they've actually backed off because they were aware that the payload was getting halfway up this ramp and said, right, if we start losing and dying here, we get staggered for the real fight that happens towards the marketplace. Let's just leave this one.
Well, the fight for the market now begins as Craggy already having a duel with Mouse, and he's at a HP disadvantage. Where's the assistance coming in? They're diving around everywhere. Still trying to find a way. I love the intricate Widow, the Tracer duels. They can't quite decide a winner, so they're going to back up for safety. What is going on? Huge dive happening onto that to Disband with Kib picking up a kill onto Track. Confusion's finding Insomniac. Where's Kib? I wish that he had Happy Call with those hacks.
And just chasing them away. Once again, good first toll coming through from Hurricane. They've already managed to burn about 2 minutes of this round just by going for that very crazy... that was a picture and a half to see, like, hello, I'm waving my hand, I'm here as a diva, and then suddenly, bam, in comes the monkey and crushes a flat.
Goomba stomped by Fusions.
Beautiful.
But British Hurricane still seem to have control at this point, despite that moment of that Disband capitalizing on some, let's say, arrogant aggression coming out from Hurricane. I think is the safest way to say it with Kib on that soldier. His positioning, not ideal, but he was under the circumstances, he was able to make it work. And Craggy, he's waiting for them to aggress onto him with that pulse bomb. He's right behind him. Oh, his left support's exposed. No kill almost coming out. Misses the spray and the pulse bomb, but it forces out a Valkyrie from Insomniac to keep everyone alive. And here's the rest of British Hurricane diving onto the backline, but it's Mouse with the only kill so far as Craggy trying to find something. Track's being left unattended to, and he's able to dish out that damage, but not any kills to his name as things go on right now.
You can already see how Hurricane are now being forced to play behind Fountain inside the building because they don't want to get picked off, but Kib is going to save them, be their saving grace, and bring down Track as the rest of the lineup. Well, they're going to do what they always do, like we saw on Horizon, and just wipe out as a Disband.
I think Kib heard me when I was like, hey, Track's being ignored. And then Kib just dashes through, takes him out, gets himself that Dragon Blade to fall back on if he needs to. So that's surely going to come out next fight, as the ultimates are building up for both of these teams. Fusion has the Primal Rage, and you got Craggy and Crusade with their own, and it's pretty much mirrored on the side of that's a Disband. Track doesn't have those infrasights yet, but they're not as, shall we say, openly and directly impactful as, shall we say, something like a Dragon Blade from Kib.
It's kind of the supportal difference versus each other here, really looking towards Tri-Spear on one side, and that's a Disband with that Transcendence. On the other side, it's all about the sound barrier.
The Winstons trade places and force out the Transcendence from Tri-Spear. It's also going to force out a double Pulse Bomb kill from Mouse. And Craggy, he's going to have to answer with one of his own as 20 seconds remain for that to Disband. Kib, he's got the Dragon Blade. Where's the support ultimate? There's none available for that to Disband. He can make this huge if he gets onto the back line. Immediately shuts down Track. There's that 2x melee range on the ultimate. Struggling to get through the window, but that one pick should have been enough for him. Crusade committing a little bit of homicide onto Insomniac as Limit taking out Craggy. Kib finds Tri-Spear, committing to more self-destruct, scatters the fight. He takes out Barbecue while he was deemed next. Now everyone's dancing around the fight. It's just Mouse. He's the sole survivor. Without capturing point A, it looks like British Hurricane are going to end it here.
Pretty much no one left to contest this one. It is going to end the round out, and I say it was big. That's a Disband had a very crucial opportunity to win this one out because Crusade was just soundbarring as the sticky came in, killed him, and completely missed the ultimate for Hurricane. So that's a Disband missed a trick there. They had their own support ultimate, and they denied one from the other side. That should have been their win condition, but just couldn't capitalize and push on the way through. Unfortunate, but that's the situation they find themselves in, and Hurricane really haven't got too far to push to close this one out.
I really hope the British Hurricane do what we saw them do last week, where they used the May to boost up the Bastion and clear off the high ground position. Because if they could do it twice and teams aren't prepared for it, it kind of shows you that they weren't taking that very seriously, when that might be a legitimate strategy for them.
Potentially, or they just go for the kind of thing that we see them constantly running on Junkertown, which is the half pirate ship with double flankers, and you've seen it before. You know exactly the kind of stuff they love to run.
You know that old story, that old chestnut coming out from British
doing
Hurricane.
The usual.
Well, they're going to run the pirate ship if it's uncountered, if it's unattacked. It will literally be able to just roll through them and capture this progress in record time. It's on that to Disband to find a way to dislodge Craggy or remove the components of what should be this pirate ship composition.
At this point, they're changing picks so quickly, it's almost impossible to know the kind of thing they want to run. So we'll settle on that until we know more about what's coming. That's a Disband side, though. More of the standard stuff, right? Going for the hybrid dive setup again, changing out the Genji and the Lucio for the Mercy and the Widow. Just going to try and hold down those angles. And we saw before Kid managed to close down track a few times, the angles they were denying from Hurricane made it a little bit trickier to play around. They either had to hide behind Fountain or hold off to the right-hand side inside buildings, which meant they couldn't hold the ground where they wanted to sit to be able to deny the payload. That's why it managed to get near the end of the first point. Of course, once Kib comes through the blade to the back, Hurricane send their regards. You can't really be covering off those angles so much longer.
Very, very safe positioning coming out from Track and Insomniac to hide back onto that high ground. So they're going to give up a lot of ground to do this. But when you've got Craggy looking to set up with the pirate ship, you don't want to give that much ground away.
And this is even a half pirate ship as well. They're going all in on this one as well, putting everything in the Craggy basket on this Bastion.
They're going to have Reinhardt behind them, and they're keeping Hafiko on the Widowmaker. He's immediately been taken out by Tri-Spear, so they have a flanking angle. They're now aware of what's coming at them, and Craggy dislodges from the pirate ship, so already seems to be, it's not going smooth sailing for them.
Yeah, without that Discord and without the extra healing coming through. Oh, sorry, it wasn't that. It was the other side that went down. Yes. Sorry, Happy went down on the Widow. Now the lead changes out to the D.Va, so they've got even more defensive power. Got to get that pirate ship back online. Here they go.
Well, it's back online. They've lowered the sails, and now they're in motion with the tide of the sea. Nothing really stopping them at the moment as Barbecue comes behind him. You got Winston diving into the payload. No one's dislodged him. Craggy's able to just sustain through it all. You've got a nice flank coming out. You're hopefully going to have both the supports trying to hit the back line, but Craggy has torn through them all already. Insomniac looking for a resurrection onto Limit. Brings him back into the fight. Mouse takes out Craggy, so they've lost the Bastion, the key component of this pirate ship composition. And they're blowing ult to try and stay in this. You've got Tri-Spear using that Transcendence already. Limit using the Primal Rage. And already they've shut it down, but they committed so much to do that.
Well, gotta say they need a few more cannons on that ship because it wasn't really firing on all cylinders for the majority of it. Once Craggy was kind of dislodged and Kib had to drop the shield behind them because of the flanks coming through, everything just kind of fell apart. And that was when Track had the high ground to himself, had all the freedom in the world to just take pot shots at anyone who was still not sat behind that shield. So maybe try it again. They've got the ultimates online. In fact, nearly all of them are coming up here except for Kibbs, looking towards that tank formation from Craggy with the boost from the Mercy.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the tank form coming out where he's going to start bouncing and jump shotting. And you already heard the rallying cry. Where are the kills? He's trapped in a bubble with Limits. He tries to shut him down. No kills at the moment. The Kib taking out Barbecue. So no kills from tank form whatsoever. Trying to get set up somewhere. Needs to find a shield to hide behind. His Kib takes out Insomniac and Track. Uncontested, there's no real option to dive onto him. It relies on Craggy just being able to out-damage him through a shield. Self-destruct on the point of the payload. Holt to pull him off, forces out the grapple hook, but he's 70 HP. Craggy finally finishes him off. Earth Shatter, taking out Barbecue before he can get anywhere near the payload. No one can touch it. British Hurricane clean the series 4-0.
Interesting final strategy to push on the way through. You can probably see why Hurricane prefer running that on something like Junkertown, but at the end of the day, the result is exactly the same. That's a Disband going down 0-4. Can't say we didn't anticipate that coming in, but with this win, Hurricane take first spot. It's got to feel pretty good in being August and Hungry coming into the day in first spot, thinking, cool, get through Angry Titans, we find ourselves in first spot, we're going great into playoffs. Now they slip down to third. That makes their game going to be a lot harder. They'll probably get a team like CIS Hope, of course. That's still to be decided tomorrow.
And what a kind of a comeback for British Hurricane. They started off relatively strong, then they had a bit of a dip in the middle of the season, and then they've come out with 2-4-0s against, well, one of the stronger teams in the group, we thought was going to be one of the stronger teams, and that's a Disband. So 2-4-0s in a row going into top 8, that's got to be fantastic.
It's all about the momentum at this point as well, and I think things will slow down a bit. Let's not forget last week was Super Week where we had games very close back-to-back. Now they're going to have this 2-week break we keep on speaking about. Lots of time to prepare, review, look at the VODs from the other group as well, because they were scrim partners with these guys from the other group. Now they've got to come together and fight. That's when things are going to get interesting.
Well, that's just Group A. We're going to throw it over to our analysts, and they're going to close out the show for you.